Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm just now getting to my inbox messages. Since I posted about my 2 years being in Houston and stepping out on faith, I've got an influx of messages in regards to how I did that. Um, and I thought that I would be able to come in here and talk about uh, stepping out on faith and how I activated faith in doing so, and that would be an all-out lie. The truth of the matter is I felt like I didn't have a choice, in the matter, and God was edging me towards, coming down here to Houston. Again, like I said, I tried to plan, initially I had a place lined up, and I still didn't have a job lined up or anything like that. So as the time kept getting nearer and nearer, I found reasons to attempt to back out, but my spirit wouldn't let me do that. Even to the point to where, as you've seen in my initial video, once I got down here, that everything kind of went wrong with me coming down here. Lost my wallet, truck broke down, and a bunch of other things. But in regards to me coming down here, it was more or less like, I don't know how to explain it, but my spirit was just tugging me to be down here. Like, it's kind of like being at work and, something is going on in the house and you like, listen, I don't know what's going on where I'm at, but I just need to get home. I just need to get there to make sure everything is all right. That strong pulling in your spirit, like, you know what? Damn, you trying to stop me. I'm going anyway. So that's the kind of feeling that I got. So there was no kind of, me just praying and God telling me, oh, this is where I want you to be, and it just being a process for me getting down here. No, it did not happen like that at all. It was just this strong pulling, like when everything kind of jumped in a way of me coming down here, I did not succumb to it. I was just like, come hell or high water, I'm getting my ass down here, So even with all of that, like I said in the initial video, that my wallet was stolen. I had to borrow money from friends until my cards could be unfrozen and things like that. So I just came and I floated down here and I got down here. And then even getting down here, the initial place that I had got flooded out by the storm. I ended up in a shelter, a veteran shelter in Midtown Houston, and I stayed there for a while. And then 30 days later, I had a good contract, a good working contract. And then once my boss found out that I was in a shelter, he was just like, oh no, he made sure that I got into a what you call it, extended stay. I stayed at I forget the name of the extended stay. It was in the Galleria area, so I stayed there until they got all the paperwork for me together, and then soon after, I was in California. So that's, all of 2017 when you guys saw me in California. I was up and down the California coast for work. So what I would do was I would come home. What did I do first? I came home. I got an apartment first, and then I went back to California. And then I come back a month or two later, and I bought a car, and then I go back to California. So it was kind of like I was the running joke at the job that I had a new car, a new apartment that I couldn't even live in yet. And all the while, Mojo was staying with different people down here. God bless me with some people that were able to take care of Mojo while I was in California. And all the while, my job was telling me to bring him with me. And I didn't, that would be too much. If anybody knows Mojo, that would just be too much excitement for Mojo. So I didn't feel that I could bring him in. I didn't want that burden because our schedule was very aggressive in regards to working. So again, I'm saying all of this to say, when you get that tugging in your spirit that God wants you in another place, man, just go. It's going to work out for you. There was nothing that I could do to plan this. I did not foresee that far into, just 30 days after I get down here, I got a good 6-figure contract. And then, working that contract. And then once I got situated, that ended. And then I got the direct hire job that I'm working now as a regional IT manager here. And again, things are fine. Again, there was nuances in between that could have caused a hiccup or anything like that. But nothing major at all. And it's just a blessing because again, I didn't foresee any of this. I know that, through prayer, this is what the part that I didn't tell you. So that tugging that caused me to come down here because I knew there was nothing in New Jersey for me anymore. And I just had the spirit to be somewhere else. So I was asking God, where do you want me to be? And at that time I had left New Jersey in November 2016, and I was in the Washington, D.C. area, bouncing around between Washington, Maryland, and Virginia, working a project. So when that was coming to an end, I was asking God, where do you want me to be? So through prayer, I just kept seeing Houston, Texas. And then when I meditate, I see Houston, Texas. Everything just kept popping up Houston, Texas. So I had the opportunity to go to Dallas, actually, and that completely fell through. So I have a friend from New Jersey who lives in Dallas now, and he was just like, hey, G, come down here. It's good down here. So when I was ready to make that move, because that's not where God wanted me to be, dude completely went dark on me. I don't know where he was, what happened. I couldn't get in contact with him, anything like that. So that didn't work. So again, I'm back on this Houston thing. And then that's where, the story picks up to me, just putting Mojo in the car, packing everything that I can carry in my car. Actually, I left a lot of stuff on the curb, that I didn't want to bring with me. So I grabbed that stuff, put it in my truck, and I just got on the road. And then on my way down here, a Facebook friend told me that her aunt was renting an apartment down here. And on the way down here, that's when I found a place to stay. So, I went there. I stayed there for all of 2 weeks. The storm hit, and then I was in the shelter. I was in a veteran shelter. So that's how that happened. So I stayed there for a few weeks, got my bearings together, and then moved from the veteran shelter to the extended stay because of my boss at the first contract that I was working. And then once I was in California, I would come back, get my apartment, came back, got my car, etc. But it was just this extreme, I don't know. That's the best way that I can explain it. An extreme pulling, because I was seeing it in prayer. Everything just kept popping up about, Houston is expanding, opportunities down here, things like that. And then I actually, through a lot of the groups that I'm in for professionals, a lot of people from Texas and Houston in general are in these groups. So I was able to ask some questions. But ultimately, I really couldn't plan beyond what I already had planned to come down here. So it was a crazy experience. I'm blessed because of it. And anybody who knows me, if there was an issue, I wouldn't be on here talking to you guys, or they would have known about it already. But I really have no complaints, and I thank God for that. But that's what it was. So if God put something on your heart and you meditating and you seeing stuff and you getting words from people and you seeing it in prayer, act on it, move on it. And it'll definitely work out for you. So I hope that explained to you guys who inboxed me about moving on faith, and I hope that answered your questions, because I don't really have the key to all of that, because this is probably the biggest jump. There's smaller jump to where that something is just going to work out, and you know what? And I also have to give credit to, because I think while I was down here, and when the contract ended and I was looking for this job, I had a friend of mine from North Carolina who's a pastor. And she called me one day and she was just like, listen, I just got out of prayer and I looked up at the ceiling and I seen your face. And I just want to pray for you. So I'm like, okay, cool. Pray for me. Man, she went in. And I mean, she started speaking in tongues and her hair stood up on my arm and all types of stuff. The next day I got a call for the job that I'm working now that I don't even recall applying for. And I got the position, and I beat out 57 candidates for this position to a job that I don't even recall applying for. So God definitely moved in that regard. And then on top of that, this is how God worked. So I was in the process of considering this other opportunity, right? So then I have another good friend of mine, who's a pastor in LA. She calls me. She said, listen, I see something in the spirit, and it's telling me for you to stay away from this guy because he needs access to, I think she said at the time, like my fan base or whatever the case is, or he needs access to your contacts. So just be careful. And lo and behold, this joker revealed his hand, and I had to cancel the deal because he was trying to set me up to use me. So God will place people in your life to protect you and to guide you when he ultimately wants you to move where he needs you to move. So I just ask you guys to pay attention to that. I hope that helps somebody. You guys be blessed. Peace and light to everybody. And I'll talk to you guys soon.